Welcome friends to the newest edition of Seahawkers What If, the most unique Seahawks preview show in the multiverse. I'm your host, Clinton Bonner, and I am joined by the one, the only, the great Brandon Schultz. And folks, you know by now, it would not be, it could not be. We cannot traverse the Seahawks multiverse without the protector of that multiverse, and that is Mr. Phil Leidick, center stage down there. Mr. Phil, I'll kick it to you first. I had a beautiful discussion with Brandon just yesterday on 3 and 3 out, but we haven't talked just yet. How are you feeling after that big, inspiring, Drew Lock-led comeback victory over the Eagles?
It was fun, and I loved that DK led our team down the field, collected all those crazy Drew Lock passes, and helped us get there to where Drew could chuck one up and JSN could make the most incredible catch of the season, reaching out with his very tips to bring it in and give us a victory. Really, in spite of our quarterback only being able to throw one touchdown against this hideous, putrid pass defense in the whole game, our receivers came through and we overcame, and the defense held off a really good offense. Now, they gave up a lot of running yards, but they held them down on the points, and we loved it. So now we can get our quarterback back in there and we can soldier on, and who knows what's up next.
Yeah, well, Brandon, I have a little question for you then. Do you think that Ryan Tannehill will have 82 yards rushing the way that Hurts had? What do you think the over-under on that is?
I don't know if Ryan Tannehill will play in this game, but if he does, he will. I can virtually guarantee he will not have 82 yards rushing. He may not even have 8.
Now, he is a former receiver, Brandon, as they always say.
Yeah, he's also in his mid-30s and does not tend to run it as much. But
yeah, he's not particularly good at NFL football at this point in his career, but that's okay. I hope, I know we'll get into it, but I do hope we see Tannehill. Just from oh, really? Okay, well, we'll save that. I think it's way.
Isn't he from the Russell draft? Am I right?
I think he's the same year. Yeah. Interesting. Which was a lot of good talent there. So we'll get into all that. We'll talk about this upcoming game versus the Titans. Of course, want to remind all the people there that, hey, if you're watching this on YouTube, the big thing you could do for us this holiday season and Christmas right around the bend, youtube.com/Seahawkers podcast. Give the subscribes, give the likes, share this with other 12s. And then Brandon, what's the perks? Where can they go if they want to hang out in the Discord, join the Facebook Ring of Honor, all the other things the flockers get to do? What should they be doing?
Oh yeah, there's so many places to hang out. We got our Discord group. We've got our What If channel. We're going to feature that a little bit later. I know Phil has been collecting the What If wishes from our members of the flock, and they went to getintheflock.com. They're helping to support the show, and so we bring them into our Discord community. And even if if they come in at $12 and above, they come into our Facebook community too. So lots of places to hang out online if that is your thing.
Yes, and hopefully it is your thing, because watching the Seahawks together is simply better, especially when we win, which we did last week. And then Mr. Phil, we like to look, and we're talking of last week, we like to do this segment called Previously with the Protector, where you tell us how did our upcoming opponent, in this case the Tennessee Titans, how they looked the week previous. Because Phil, here's the deal. I don't really like watching Tennessee Titans football right now. So I need this section more than ever. So hit us with it. What kind of knowledge should we know about these Titans?
Okay, Clinton, you're right. Titans football, not terribly interesting all the time. This was weird because you may know that Titans used to be the Houston Oilers, and I guess to kind of rub it in their fans' faces when they played the Texans, that was some low stuff. Let's put our old logo from Houston, and so we're watching the Warren Moon era Houston Oilers jerseys, but they're called Tennessee Titans facing the Houston Texans. It was just awkward to keep watching, but there was 70 minutes of football. I don't say it was great football, but it was tight and tense football. A few things about this team, if you've watched them, their offense has not been great. 26th by DVOA, 24th through the air, 18th on the ground. Yes, that's with King Henry. He's not the King Henry of old. He's the old King Henry. Levis made some nice plays in this game to kind of keep him moving. He had a nice play action deep shot, a couple long throws, but we know he's probably not very unlikely to play. I don't know what it's going to look like with Tannehill. The pocket was pretty good in the first half. And then in the second half, their O-line looked like the garbage that everybody expected. They were just getting smoked. I think they ended up giving up like 7 sacks after doing okay in the first. They did not block well in the run either. Henry, number 22, did diddly poo. I wanted to write that on there, but because that's really, it was like 2 and 2 diddly poo. He had like 16 carries for 19 yards or 19 carries for 16 yards. It was atrocious. Chris Moore looked kind of dangerous. He's the guy they can chuck it up and he can go beat guys in the air, number 11. He mossed one of the Texans pretty good, and the Texans do have pretty good DBs. Their defense is 19th by DVOA, 22nd against the pass, 17th against the run. You know, just meh. Solid coverage and tackling, it looked like most of the time, but they weren't making a lot of plays on the ball. They had some pick opportunities. Case Keenum's not really good at the football game, and they did pick him off on one of the worst throws, and it's only because Case threw it right between the numbers of the defender. But they had some other chances. They were more, let's stay sticky but not go to make plays, is what I felt like. And they were ran on up the middle over and over. It seemed like as long as the Texans were smart enough to do that, they had it available for 7 to 9 yards. Autry, though, is a beast on pressure and against the pass. He had a great sack in the fourth, another one in overtime. And let's say something about Autry. He has 11 sacks from the interior. So think Aaron Donald-ish type of play from the middle. Then they gave up a tying touchdown drive in the fourth. I still don't know how they did it. Neither team looked like they were playing good, and yet somehow the Texans tied and then went on to win it in overtime. Did you guys watch this game at all?
Yes, I did. And I was with you in that it was also weird with them, because not only did they wear their Houston Oilers jerseys, but they also inducted Billy White Shoes Johnson into the Tennessee Titans Ring of Honor.
Oh my! They just must hate Houston.
I don't know why. Cool. Why would Oklahoma City hate Seattle fans since they stole our team in basketball? Why would you do that? I don't get it.
Is Gary Payton in there?
Is
Gary Payton in their Ring of Honor down there in Oklahoma? I wonder.
He better not be.
Right? I mean, it feels real dirty. Yeah.
Well, and I don't think it would be, because I think that the smart thing that Seattle did is that they kept their naming rights for the team when the team was trucked off to Oklahoma City. So that way, if a team does come back, or when a team comes back to Seattle for basketball, they can be the Supersonics again, and we don't have to. You know, another city can't do this, like emotionally damage us again.
So bizarre. It's all weird. All weird.
All right. Do you guys want to move on to Sunday's game, though? Do you want to go to Sunday? Let's talk about Sunday's game. We're going to Tennessee. We're going to Tennessee. And what day is it, by the way? What day on the calendar is Sunday? Do you guys remember, Clinton?
I do. It is Christmas Eve, right?
Christmas Eve, yes. So lots of presents to look forward to, a lot of things, the magic in the air of the eve. And so I think we're on the eve of something. Now, the calendar will come. The 25th will be Christmas here. But this particular Christmas Eve, what if the Seahawks, what if we 12s are on the eve of something magical? And so because we are 7-7, 500 team, it can go up, we can go down. We're either going to be an above 500 team, a winning team, or a losing team starting this week. And so with the word Eve, I thought I'd have a little fun with it. All these words have to do with Eve. Here's the categories: overachieve, deceive, achieve, grieve, relieve, or believe. Brandon, you're first. Which word? Where are we going?
All right. Well, as I look down the list, I'm playing the game of one of these things is not like the other. One of them just isn't the same. Deceive. There is deception among this list. The I is after the E. So we're going with deceive.
You have to go with the one that just looks a little odd. I always have to try to fudge something to make it work. It just wouldn't be what if we didn't. Deceive, Brandon. Since you are a watcher of Tennessee Titan Oiler football, Brandon, what if the Hawks succeed at deception? What plays and formations just might confuse this meh Tennessee defense or this poor Tennessee offense?
This leads right into the reason why I would like to see the Seahawks play Will Levis instead of Ryan Tannehill, because I think the potential is there more so for the defense to do some deception that could confuse Levis, also get some pressure on him, and then lead him to making some bad decisions. Because one of the things I feel like is the biggest issue with Levis is that he likes to throw downfield. He likes to throw it deep. He's really good at it. He has a heck of an arm. But I think I think he'll make some poor decisions just trying to lean on that skill set that he has and not go, more toward the safe types of plays that I think if we were to see Ryan Tannehill out there, if there's a blitz coming off the edge, he's going to recognize it and he's going to throw to the area where I think there's most likely to be an open receiver, a check down type play. I think Tannehill is more like that. So say we got Devin Witherspoon back. They have some run blitz, some pass blitz opportunities. I think that's going to lead to more opportunities for Will Levis to make some turnovers.
Clinton, how can we deceive these dirty throat punch to their former fans Titans?
Yeah, so the thing I would love to see on repeat, and I think it's got enough deception that it will qualify. That Ken Walker 23-yard run is a form of it, right? Because you're pulling D-Lou, but it's in like a 12 or 13 personnel. I forget exactly what, but like we are still doing some interesting things in the 12 and 13 packages where we're moving lots of bodies one way, we're pulling, and then we're kind of clearing out major opportunities and sides, which if you give Ken Walker a little bit of daylight, a little bit of room to make the big play, then he's that last game, he kind of showed all that. He still got it. It wasn't like it was away, just volume of touches for that guy, more for him, less for Charbonnet, more pulling, more 12 and 13 stuff where we're just hammering down the line and get him countering that little counter deception, all that stuff. Like and the thing is, I don't think it has to be, we don't need a flea flicker. We don't need end arounds and jet sweeps. We don't got to be cute with our deception. We could just be good at executing simpler deception, if you will. More subtle deception, kind of like the Niners do, right? Very much like the Rams do. Hey, here's that same 11 personnel, or in our case, 12 or 13. And we showed you that 2 or 3 times in the first half. And we changed something subtle about it in the second half, and blammo, K9 is off to the races again. I had picked K9 to get a long touchdown, right? And as my wish last week, but I also in the betting show, P&W Prop Stars, I said, hey, over 13.5 for K9's longest run was absolute smash spot territory. I felt it. And I think it's the same type of thing. Let's get him going, enough deception, spring K9 for the big plays. And that'll be just fine for me, Mr. Phil.
I love it. And some running backs are good when you get a lot of blockers, but when you get a lot of blockers, what do you get? You get a lot of defenders over there too. I kind of like K9 where, like you're saying, it make you look like it's going one way, but then just a couple guys over at the other side, and you get him a lot of open space, and he is tragic for defenses in those scenarios.
Yeah, well put.
Good. Clinton, you have 5 choices. Where we go.
Okay. So, last week I said, if you put something up here like that was Journey-esque, like don't stop believing, I would take it. So you did. So I got to be a man of my word. I'm going to keep on believing. Let's go with believe.
Don't stop. I think you're both going to have some great answers. I think a lot of the flockers out there are looking forward to what you have to say here on this question. Clinton, what if you believe something about this team that is yet to fully manifest? what did you like to see shine forcefully that we've only seen glimpses of? I know there's only 3 games left, but do you believe there's more that you're looking forward to seeing, Clinton?
Okay, yeah, there's plenty.
Okay.
There's a couple different sides. I'll go to the defensive side, and I will leave. Well, Brandon can take whatever he wants. With that, what we were talking about on 3 and 3 out a little bit too is, hey, do we keep seeing Mike Jack and Trey Brown, and obviously Witherspoon gets back out there? The manifestation that I want us to realize is preseason, we looked at this team and we're like, oh my goodness, this defensive back core, including our safeties, which has been challenging. But that group, we're like, this is going to be all pro level, if you will, or top 3 in the league when it comes to like that defensive back group. And then Jamal comes back from injury. It's not quite right. Who knows? Now he's injured, sort of, maybe. We'll see how that all plays out. My belief and what I want to manifest these last 3 weeks as we get into the playoffs is like, oh, wow, we recalibrated, even though it's late in the season, we recalibrated. And this defensive back group is a legitimate top group in the NFL and a force to be reckoned with that takes things away from teams like in big ways. If that can happen, that unlocks a lot for this team. So that's where I want to see that. And I want to believe we're going to see that starting or continuing, I should say, with this game against the Titans.
I love that. And this is one our YouTube viewers might throw their comment in while they're thinking about it, something that we've only seen glimpses. Brandon, what do you believe is still there that's under the surface? It's about to spring up here, Brandon.
Well, Clinton was right to think that I would go toward the offense because I am going toward the offensive line. Because now that we've seen Abe Lucas back for a couple games, we see Charles Cross against the in this last game. I feel like we're starting to see this group fully find some ways to give the quarterback some time, and which is great for Drew Lock. And we needed that, especially to get the win this past week against the Eagles. So over this next stretch of games, though, it's going to continue to be just as critical with Geno Smith back there, because if this team is going to find its way into the playoffs, it's going to have to rattle off 3 straight wins. It's going to have to protect Geno and give him time to distribute then to Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, JSN, like we know that he can do.
Yeah.
I think that with what we've seen so far, there could be some good things to come out of this offensive line.
I love that idea. And we don't have to win 3 to make the playoffs, but 3 gets us in. 2 out of 3 makes it tough. It's like, it seems there's a huge delta, as you guys like to say, difference between if we win all 3 versus winning 2. And the O-line, boy, if they're going to be as good as they look like they might be, what a difference.
And when I say all 3, it's more of the idea of if they're going to make a difference in the playoffs,
okay,
they have to show that they can win these 3 games, because you can't lose to a bad team. And they've done a good job of doing that so far this season, right? The only losses that they have been to playoff-worthy teams, and I guess we have to throw the Rams into that category because they're in that situation because of
us.
Yeah,
no, because they're well coached and they're playing together. Yep.
And Matt Stafford's playing at an MVP level, better than Brock Purdy, just saying.
No, he's the best quarterback in our division for sure, no doubt.
Yeah.
One might call him an overachiever.
Yes. Is that where you're going, Brandon?
Let's go to overachieve.
He's ready to overachieve. Okay. So let's see what you guys can make out of this one, Mr. Overachiever. What if the Hawks allow a Titan to overachieve? Who should we worry about in this matchup having a big day, Brandon?
Yeah, Derrick Henry is the guy who really can run the offense and is the guy that I worry about the most when it comes to the Titans offense. The Texans, they did a good job of holding him down, like you mentioned. Yeah, he did not do much of anything. They put a lot of pressure. Yeah. They ran run blitzes.
That's right.
They made a point of stopping Derrick Henry, and it kind of goes back to me what Clinton was saying about what the defense does. If we see this, what I want to see from the Seahawks defense is that same lineup of defensive backs that got the majority of snaps, apart from, you know, I would insert Devin Witherspoon if he's healthy and play him for Artie Burns. But I think having Julian Love, having Quandre Diggs, having Mike Jack on one side and Trey Brown on the other, I think that leads us to the best group that can really help to stop Derrick Henry. Throw Witherspoon in there, and then I don't have to worry about him overachieving, because, man, oh man, if Henry goes for 120 plus yards, I don't have that great a feeling about this game.
Yeah. And Clinton, on 3 and 3 out, you brought up the 102-year-old lady saying it's been 84 years.
Yes.
What's really been 84 years, not has just been starting with an N. It's been since we've seen good run defense. And I mean, it's been a long time since we've seen that from our team. And Henry, the key for stopping him is don't let him get started. That's exactly what Houston did. Was he couldn't get his first explosion at all in that matchup. Clinton, what do you got? Who are you worried about in this matchup?
Yeah, so Brandon was so close to having a really sharp answer, but he just missed it a little bit. So sorry to call you out, Brandon. It's not Derrick Henry. It's not the king I worry about. It's the prince who's sitting behind him. Tyjae Spears, the Tulane Green Wave Prince.
Yeah.
He, to me, is what happened with the Titans is they are now eliminated. I'm pretty sure they're mathematically out of 5 and 9. I'm sure in the AFC they are. They're 2-2 in their last 4, and I believe they've lost 2 overtime games in the 4. I'm pretty sure that's right. Either way, it's been all like close games. And Vrabel and company, like, what are they going to be doing? Like, why not at this point give Tyjae Spears more touches and start to balance that out? At this point in their career, he's a better running back than Derrick Henry. He just is. And he's also way better out of the backfield. And if we've got slowness in our linebacker core, which we do have that could cause problems for us. So for me, I would love for them to try and feed Henry over and over and over again, because I think we'll bottle him up. I think we'll do a good job. Combination of their line not being so hot, and I think we've got the dogs up front to tackle that and do a good job. Tyjae Spears, completely different beast. We don't know him nearly as well, and I think a more dynamic player. So that's, to me, let's keep that genie in the bottle, and hopefully Vrabel and company don't try to, go to that wishing well too many times. But I have a feeling that we're going to see more Spears than we would like to when the game's all said and done. That's my take.
Good thought. I wondered if one of you would bring him up, because he was looking a little bit more dangerous throughout that matchup. No doubt. He's good. I mean, listen, Derrick Henry, first ballot Hall of Famer, 28 years old, and he needs a line. He needs a line at this point. He doesn't really have a good line. Speaking of lines, we've drawn one through overachieve. I have 3 left for you to pick from. You can achieve, grieve, or be relieved. Clinton.
I'm just a curious individual. So what is behind that grieve curtain? Like, let's see. It's interesting.
You want to see? We'll show you.
I do. Oh no.
Clinton.
Oh, that picture.
No, I know that picture.
Clinton, what if there's one thing that would really grieve and peeve you in this matchup? You get to pick one side of the ball. Well, there's actually 3, I guess. And then Brandon will be stuck with the other one. Well, he'll be stuck with 2 choices if we're including special teams. One thing that would just grieve you in this matchup if it took place, Clinton.
Yeah, I think I could be fairly concise, which is something for me, guys. I think I think the thing that would make me the most mad is if we went away from running, and specifically the Ken Walker show. Like, if it's Geno, if it's Drew, okay. I'm expecting Geno, but if we just go back to being overly aggressive with the pass game, and we're not tilted the right way, like that drive coming out of the second half, the Kenneth Walker drive with Charbonnet in the middle, right? Charbonnet got it at the 50-yard line and had a couple of good runs and went right back to K9. That was a thing of beauty. That was a beautiful Pete Carroll-esque drive. If we don't have that kind of commitment to the run game, and it's not Ken Walker led, I will be in a stage of grievance, Phil.
Yes. And Clinton, of course, team never defer, went straight to the offense. Brandon, you are left with special teams or defense. What would Grieve and P view in this matchup?
Yeah, well, I suppose I could go with the punt returns and DJ Dallas, just not running up the fair catch things. But I will go with the defense and really point to the defensive line. If they are not able to get pressure on whichever quarterback, but specifically if it's Will Levis at quarterback, if guys like Leonard Williams, Boye Mafe, if they're not able to get pressure on him, then I think we're going to all be grieving as fans after this game. And I don't have any reason necessarily to believe that won't happen, because I think that this is an offensive line that this defense can really put pressure on. But it would concern me for sure.
I was most sad, Brandon, when you said guys like Boye Mafe and Leo Williams, and I'm like, and who's he going to say next? And then I was like, I started grieving. It's like, it is got to be those guys or a blitzer. Like,
well, Draymond Jones.
Reed did early in the season. Yeah, it just made me feel a little sad when you said that.
They've been getting pressure. It's just we haven't seen the splash plays, I feel like, from those guys. And really, it's been a few weeks for Boye, so
it should happen against this not so good, to put it kindly, Oiler interior offensive line. Yes, that will be either one of those would be sad. We would be sad. So let's get rid of Grieve. It's gone. We have Achieve and Relieve remaining, Brandon.
Well, because there are two left on the board, I know which one I want to save for the end. I am going to take Relieve right now.
Oh, when you said that, I thought opposite. Okay. Rolade spells relief. What
I knew it.
You knew it? You knew it.
Well, I figured it might be there. It's great.
We all knew it. Brandon, what will have spelled relief for you at halftime? I haven't asked one of these halftime questions in a while. That should be what if's all about. I should have more halftime questions. I apologize to everybody out there. But what will have spelled relief for you at halftime? What if something eases your concerns in the first half? This will have happened, and you're going to be like, okay, no indigestion here.
Oh, man. The thing against games with the Titans, like I could say, up by multiple scores, but then I have that emotional memory of when we were leading the Titans and they came back by doing nothing but running the football with Derrick Henry. So I can't even be appeased with points in this game.
Yeah.
So I am going to go with the run game. If they are running the ball first down and running it effectively, that's going to be enough to tell me that, if they're hammering the rock with Ken Walker throughout the first half, that they're going to then be able to continue to do that in the second half. So if the Seahawks, let's say they have 60 plus rushing yards in the first half, that would be a stat to where I think I would be relieved then going into the second half.
Clinton, what'll have eased your concerns if we've done this in half one on Christmas Eve?
You mentioned it. I am team never defer, and I will have to caveat that with I'm not always and I'm not have been my entire life team never defer. I'm team never defer on teams that are easily scripted against and where we give up points early. And this team, we kick the ball off and we're down 7-0. So why kick the ball off? Like if
that'd be really sad against this team.
So, and I'm gonna demote that a bit or take it down a notch and say 0 points on the first drive for these Titans. I expect this to either win the coin toss or Tennessee takes the ball. So chances are better than 50-50 that we're kicking off just because of those two things. And just 0 points. That's so first freaking drive by the Titans, nothing, a goose egg. Hopefully not a first down, but no points. They don't sniff the end zone. And cool. Then we're getting the ball in the second half and we're not automatically down 7-0 because I got down to the Eagles 7-0. You get down to the Niners 7-0. It's a bad way to start football games, man. So that's my answer. Let's be better right out of the gate defensively.
Right out of the gate defense. Love both of those. Run the ball, good defense out of the gate. We are now relieved. All we have that remains is where Brandon wanted to finish, which is Achieve. Clinton, that's your choice. We haven't talked a lot about this guy, but I think it's important. Clinton, what if there is something that you'd like to see Geno achieve in his first game back. What will you consider satisfactory play from Geno after a couple games being out since his phenomenal performance against Dallas?
Okay. Yes. I'm going to avoid, I usually love numbers and quantifying things. I'm going to avoid that and go to like a bit of a softer skill answer. And so what I want to see from Geno is the ability to still be accurate on the move, on the run. And then I also want to see him use his feet and convert some first downs and be chain moving through opportunities there. And the reason being is I know the processing power in Geno's brain is really good. I know the arm strength is above average and his accuracy is darn good. Those things are not going to change with a groin injury. What might change is ability to get out of the pocket successfully and can he trust his legs and his groin so that he could turn it up a gear and go get those first downs when they matter. It's just about kind of completing is this dude back? Because the next week he's going to have TJ Watt chasing him all over the yard. So consider that as a warm-up game, get the legs moving, move those chains with your feet. That would be a cool thing to see.
Brandon, what's achievable success, satisfactory game for Geno this week?
I think with this week, we haven't talked a whole lot about the Tennessee pass rush, I feel like. And I've talked about the offensive line and the need to protect Geno, but I look at, in particular, Geno's numbers under pressure, and he hasn't been particularly great under pressure this season. So my preference is, of course, for the offensive line to protect him 100% all the time. That hasn't happened to this point. And so I will say that when he is under pressure, I would like to see, if he's, I want to see 60% completion rate from Geno when he has those moments when he's under pressure. And that, I think, would be a satisfactory performance when he's in those moments in his first game back.
Now, isn't 60% completion under pressure, isn't that top level quarterbacking, if I'm not mistaken?
It's because he's right about at 40 on the season.
I think it's like Brady level stuff when you throw 60 in your
you can do it in one-off games. I'm not talking about trying to get to that number over the season, but I'm saying in specific against this Tennessee group. And maybe that's a high bar to achieve, but in his first game back, that's when we're talking about achievements and things that we want, it almost feels like maybe a little wishy for me. But I think because I don't know if we're going to see Jeffrey Simmons for the Titans. He's been out the last couple games. He hasn't practiced at least to this point during the week, but they have dudes that can get after the quarterback in Danico Autry. I think you mentioned him already. Arden Key, one of those guys that has done pretty well. Harold Landry too. So I think they have guys that can bring that pressure.
They do, yeah.
And I just think that our receivers are better than those DBs. And if Geno if he has that vision to really, get the ball out and get it to the right guy, I'd like to see that, because when we're talking about being under pressure, the thing is normally a quarterback's going to throw it away, and that's how you end up getting to more of that 40% number, because you're usually throwing it in the dirt, throwing it in the sidelines. But if you can get it up to 60%, then you're finding ways to beat the defense.
Yeah, and I did want to. Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about the last time he was on the field versus Dallas. Like going into that week, the whole talk was, hey, Coach Carroll is saying to me, and Geno saying the same thing to the podium, to the audience, saying, I've got to trust the receivers and get rid of the ball and just throw to the spots and trust that they're going to be there. And then we did see that with Dallas. So I do like that. It's been a couple of weeks since we've seen Geno, but the last Geno we saw was maybe the best Geno of the year in a game we should have won. So that would be really cool if it's just like that just comes right back, right? It's not a step back to the pre-Dallas game where he's holding the ball and patting it for a little longer than we want him to. He unleashes it, and we got to accept that might come with an interception or two, but we got to be cool with that he's making the more decisive ball's got to come out. It's gone, and I guess put the chips out there.
And I saw on Nimhauser's blog, they're like 32nd on picks. So why not give it a shot? Unless you throw it right at their numbers. I did like that about Locke. He was deciding ahead and throwing it. So they weren't able to touch him a lot because he made a decision probably before he even snapped it where it was going. It wasn't always right to where I wanted him to throw it, but he made good choices right away and got rid of the ball.
All true facts.
Yes. Thank you.
You're
It's
welcome.
nice when I say something true, isn't it? Let's go to our From the Flock section, gentlemen. And guess what, Flockers? I want to congratulate you. Last week, nobody said, what did nobody say, Brandon? That I was trying to get on them for not saying that they did the 3 weeks previous. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah. The kind of wishes that were not so
Don't
positive,
get us. Let's not be embarrassed in this game.
Yeah, exactly.
We finally didn't have one of those, and guess what we had? We had a win. So give yourselves high five, everyone. And then speaking of the Flockers, I got the little Flocker discount last night at Guaranteed Barbecue.
Awesome.
Our whole family ate there. It was phenomenal. Hot barbecue sauce. My kids enjoyed the smoked meat as well as that mac and cheese bowl. I guess that was awesome. Now, unfortunately, I can't have gluten, so I can get to try it, but everybody was raving about that. Good time, good man. He showed me how to sharpen so I can cut my brisket better, and I had a good time over there. So
that's great.
Definitely stop if you're there in Kellogg. Here's a few. I need to get Garen on here. He needs to throw a wish in the wishing well. But we had Bubble Guts. What if we didn't lose another game until next year's preseason? I mean, It's not spelled wish, but I like where Bubble Guts is thinking. We had 5 people sign on to that one. That sounds just fine. Red Wagon, we just beat the pants off a bad team. No last-minute heroics. No letting a team hang around. Just an uncontested dominant win. That sounds like a good wish. That's going the other direction from let's not get embarrassed. Let's embarrass this team that tried to be cruel to their former fans. Designed Pete's Beach House. What if we keep improving the next 6 games? I like that. Every score gets better for the next 6 games.
Good job, Amy.
Car. Her wish. Gino plays. Spoon plays. Boy, that's going to take some doing. I'd love to see it. We win. K9 or Charbs gets 100+ yards on the ground. She keeps wishing for it. We're getting closer and closer. Instead, they were close last game. My expectations are high after last week. So that's the wishes we have from our little flockers. Okay. Did you guys have anything on their wishes, by the way, before you bring up your own wish, Brandon?
I've now forgotten what the wishes are.
Because I had one. I had one though. Oh yeah, the Red Wagon one is just he's wishing for like a totally dominant game. Like let's put a bad team away early. And I'm with you. It's a great wish. And with Pete Carroll football, like it's we don't do it that often. We did it against the Giants right earlier this year with the help of a 98-yard pick 6 and things of that nature. And 11 sacks on Daniel Jones and all that. We tend to play games tighter. That's just how we tend to play football. However, I would love to see that come true. That'd be a great gift on Christmas Eve, a relaxing, wonderful demolishing of these Titans teams.
And the Titan Oilers don't get blown out a lot. They just lose a lot, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, they still are well coached, and they do have a good that defensive line is legit. We've been talking about them. They are good.
Brandon, you had a spoon sack, but then you updated it to a DK big game and touchdown. He got the yards, didn't get the touchdown, but you were close. He basically helped us win the game, and his favorite play was our touchdown at the end of the game. So it was really close. But I can't give that to you. But what are you going to wish for this game against the Titans?
Guess what? Back-to-back games. DK didn't get the touchdown this week, but DK needs just 58 yards for back-to-back 1,000-yard receiving seasons. And so DK Metcalf, 58 yards, also a touchdown, because that was the other thing last week is he just needs one touchdown to pass Joey Galloway to move into 9th place for all-time touchdowns for the Seahawks. And so, yeah, I'm going back-to-back weeks for DK.
I love it. DK, 58 yards and a teeter. Okay.
And a teeter. So yeah, the moment that Brandon started that, I was in my brain cursing him. I'm like, oh, because he started with Jackson Smith and Jigman. I was like, no, that's where I want to go. And then through fault of his own. He muffed it. He muffed the punt, and he ends up going with DK.
DJ'd it.
Yeah, he did. Well, yeah, he just watched it roll on by him.
Should I pick it up? Should I dive on it? Oh, I can't decide.
Yeah. So I'm gonna hop on that muffalata there, and I'm gonna say JSN gets in the end zone again, and I'm gonna pair that with 75 plus yards of receiving for JSN, which for him that's a pretty big game for him at this point.
That'd be his game of the year, right? For yards.
Yep. So you compare the play of the year last week with his game of the year this week, 75 plus and a tutty, 75 or more and a tutty for my wish JSN. It's not a coming out party. It's just it's a week over week progression of this is a really good football player, and he's just going to keep on blossoming before our eyes.
Clinton, you took the Brandon thing and ran with it. Not only did you pick up his JSN, you also had to do the sidecar just to fully Brandon things.
It's a wish.
75 and a touchdown. Okay. Well,
yeah. So on the receptions part, yes, it's Galloway's number 1. Metcalf would be number 2. And then JSN, he is currently, I think he just passed Doug Baldwin in this past game. So he's locked into number 5, and he needs to pass Steve Largent and I think there's a tight end. John Carlson, I think his rookie season had somewhere in the 50s.
Both excellent players, Carlson and Largent. You often hear them together.
Two names synonymous with Seahawks greatness.
Yes. That's funny. I do have a question. How many away for the listeners and for my own curiosity? How many away is JSN from the record of Galloway at this point?
I think it's 13, right? Is it 13?
Galloway has 67 receptions, and Jackson Smith and Jigba is. Let's see. He is currently at I think 52.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
15 away.
Okay, he's 15 away.
3 games, 15, 5 a game. We'll get that extra one. Yeah, it's doable. It's his workload, how they're going to him, these teams they're playing. That's doable. That should.
He's at 53. He's at 53. Yep.
Okay, 14 away. All right, so he needs 15 to win. All right. I like it. That's something we should track weekly. That's fun. I would love to see JSN get that and still be the wide receiver 3. And those would be amazing wide receiver 3 numbers.
Yes.
When you start to compare that to the rest of the league, those would be staggeringly good, especially if he could add another 1 or 2 more touchdowns down the stretch, which he will this week. Very nice.
All those other guys were definitely not wide receiver 3s when they put those reception numbers on the board. The guys
good
ahead
point.
of him, they were not.
Good points.
Okay, you've been waiting for this, Clinton, and it's happy for me and everybody. You got the win because now the competition is not over. Brandon could have sealed it up. I would have already had to send his award in the mail. It'd be all settled. But the score choices last game, you picked 27-23, Brandon 27-19. So it was close, but Brandon was closer on the score.
I was closer to the score on the Eagles, and therefore I
lose.
Therefore, it didn't matter. So, yeah, and now you get to make fun of me and pick the score 0-4. I know. Sorry about that. It's a way for you to predict what you think will happen, because that's what the listeners need. And then I encourage it with a chance to compete against your friend Clinton. Brandon, what's your prediction on the score against the Tennessee Oiler Titans?
It's been throwing you off all this entire show, and it's of no fault of your own, Phil. It's entirely the fault of the organization in Tennessee that now that there's some confusion over their team name. Yeah. I don't feel bad for them at all, and I would like to see them continue to lose because of it.
Yes.
And I am going to say the Seahawks, they get the win. And they get it relatively decisively, but maybe the Titans, with Levis playing, if he's able to be healthy, he's able to drive to a late score, make it seem a little bit closer than it should be, but yet the Seahawks get the win 27-23.
27-23. That sounds like the score that Clinton picked last week. 27-23 Seattle. Clinton, what's your
good score?
prediction?
It was a good score. I would take it. I'd sign for it right now. I think we are going to win this game. I think we're going to win by a lot. I do. This is not a great team. Tennessee's, and they're not very good. And I really do think that if Levis cannot play, this prediction is with the caveat of Tannehill playing. I know Tannehill's been a fine pro. His arm at this point is pop gun. It's not, it just looks shot. He can't challenge. We didn't mention a future Hall of Famer's name once on this entire podcast. We didn't mention DeAndre Hopkins once. With Levis, D-Hop is legitimately there and super, super challenging still. And we've seen Levis be like, yep, that guy's a Hall of Famer. I'm going to go to him. Tannehill cannot challenge the way that Levis could. He can't stretch the way the arm is not there. So with all that, 31, I'm going to say this is a pretty big blowout. 31-16. I think we motorboat the Titans. Beautiful day, 67, 68 degrees looking like, sunny, a little bit of clouds. I think we win this game going away.
Didn't you just poo-poo Red Wagon's wish?
The wish, yes, because it's Pete Carroll, but the prediction was spot on. Oops, okay. The prediction's spot on. Yes, I poo-pooed the wish, but we're still going to hit it.
Okay. So to keep this thing alive, to keep the competition going, Clinton needs a blowout. Brandon just needs a solid one-score win. I'll take both. I'll take either. But well, Phil, I must say, when JSN goes for 82 and a touchdown, I'm just going to win that way. It's already over with the 82.
Yeah,
it could happen. It could
but
definitely happen.
If DK also has 80 and a touchdown, then it goes to the tiebreaker of the score.
Well, if both those things happen, then we win 31-16, and away we go.
If both those things happen, Clinton's got a good shot again of us doing that.
I don't know. I feel like I said, if Levis is in there, he scores a late touchdown. That's what, I predicted the same thing as Clinton. I just only predicted that the Titans drive for a late score to get it close.
Brandon's the man of history and the man of predictions when we do the show. And listen next time to hear Brandon's history lessons. Sometimes you get two. Like he'll try on one, then he picks it up and he gives us another one, and then he tells us how the game's going to go. Yeah. We get all kinds of insight to what will take place on this Christmas Eve. I just hope our Hawks don't ruin Christmas for my kids and your poor children out there. Do you gentlemen have anything left to add before we sign off on this game?
I just want folks to have an awesome holiday. Those that have been already celebrating. If Hanukkah is your jam, or if you're about to celebrate Christmas and everything else, enjoy it. And getting the Seahawks back to fun. That's what we wanted a couple of weeks ago. Let's get back to fun. And I feel the vibes are back. I feel where the vibes are right. We're back to being a fun team. Let's accelerate the fun and celebrate together and with our families, with our flockers, and make Christmas Eve that much more fun.
And if you're not into the religious Christmas, put up your Festivus pole and have some fun that way.
And now the three of us will sing a trio Christmas hymn. No, gentlemen, with that, what if we say go Hawks?
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.